Well, good afternoon. No, it's still morning. Good morning, my friends. You have reached the NeedleBugg, and my name is Karen. And I would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone today. And I am so glad that you are spending some time with me. If you're new here, welcome. I am so glad you found the channel and that you're giving it a chance. And I do hope you find something here that you like. And to my returning subscribers, thank you ever so much for hanging out with me. You are all so very much appreciated and loved. So today, I should tell you, this is basically a channel about cross stitch, although we do throw in some other forms of needlework from time to time, and we do tell a little bit about life from time to time, but mainly you're going to find cross stitch, and I mainly do full coverage, but there are some other things in the works at the moment. So today we're going to do a bit of a stitch with me. So I'm here working on And God Shed His Grace. And I know it looks a little bit funny the way it's positioned. However, once again, are you ready? Don't be surprised. You guys that have been here for a while know that this is always usually the case. Karen has once again switched up how she's doing things. So, as you are saying, so what else is new, Karen? If it wouldn't be for you changing the way you're stitching, it just wouldn't be a NeedleBugg video, would it? So, what you see on the screen is actually the top right corner. Okay, this is the top right corner. What I'm doing now is I turned it on its side and I'm stitching from the right side to the left side. I turned it this way because I was going, operative her word here is was going to do one row at a time across the whole length of the row. Well, folks, truth be told, you know, I shall always tell you how it is. Put this up just a little bit so I can see better here. Truth, truth be told, that didn't last very long. Didn't last very long at all. Now, I really do enjoy the process. Don't get me wrong. However, however, I do appreciate having a finish every now and again. And the way I was stitching that, there was no way I was going to have a finish within this lifetime. It just was not. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's that method slow. Absolutely way too slow. Like I said, I am not all about the speed of getting it done, although I do like to move along. And apologies if you hear a mower. My husband is out mowing and collecting leaves. And of course, I never know quite where he is when I start to video. And I think I hear him coming down along this side of the house. My apologies for the sound of the mower, and hopefully it will not last too long. But anyway, yeah, that method was just Lordy B, way too slow. I mean, okay, Stitcher's Retreat took me 5 years. Stitching the row by stitch by stitch by was going to take me far longer than 5 years. And you know, when you get to be a woman of a certain age and you start these big projects, because heaven forbid that you could, I'm not happy with small ones. Um, you have to wonder, am I going to be around long enough to finish it? So, again, not that we're all about speed of getting it done, but maybe we would like to see some kind of progress or some kind of finish in this lifetime. Sounds rather morbid. However, like I said, when you get to be a person of a certain age, start to think about those. And you know, for that matter, any one of us, doesn't matter what your age is, you just never know. Things happen, accidents happen, old age happens. But enough about that. We are what was dropped off at my front door, but my alert messages on, but I'll look later. Anyway, so I am stitching. Now, because I turned it on its side, for those of you that haven't done that, there are a few things that you do have to look at. Here comes the mower. Sorry. There are a few things that you do need to look at differently. Don't it figure he's on this side of the house when I want to do a video. Looks, let me see if I can filter some of that out. Filters, noise suppression. Okay, we did that. Noise gate. Let's do more of that. That's not. A little bit better. I hope so. We'll see. He shouldn't be on this side of the house too long. So again, my apologies for the mower sounds. Oh, that's good. Now it's stopped. It's like, oh, there are a couple things that when you stitch it sideways, and that's what I call stitching this way, is I'm stitching it sideways. There are a few things that you need to do different. First of all, you have to change the direction of your chart. So what that means then is you're reading your symbols sideways. So you have to turn color key on its side and make sure that everything is turned to the same side so that the symbols match. So yeah, that's what I did. I turned my chart on its side. So the easiest way to do that if you're using Pattern Keeper is turn your chart the way you need to have it to stitch, and then lock your screen. And you can lock your screen by just pulling down from the top till you get that little drop down box that has like the Bluetooth and the internet and the lock screen and all of that in it. And you can lock your screen right there. Okay. So that's what I did. So my screen is locked. I can turn this, I can turn my tablet in any direction, but my screen is not going to change. It's going to stay in the position that I have it locked. So you want to do that so you don't inadvertently turn the screen and have everything move, and then do you really know what, you can get confused as to what you're stitching and what have you. So make sure you position it, position your tablet the way you need it to be, and then lock the screen so that you are reading your chart in the correct direction. Okay, now the other thing, I know there are places where I messed it up a little bit, but I am not going back out and frogging it. If I do anything, I will just redo the top stitch. But when I first switched it this way, my normal method of completing an X is lower left, upper right, lower right, upper left. Okay. So a piece of paper so that I remember which way. I'm going to pull this down here. So normally, my normal way to stitch is, number one is lower left to upper right. Let's turn that picture off or put it, whoops, move it a little bit out of the way so you can see. Well, I just moved it in the way. Okay, let's turn it off. There we go. So my normal way to stitch is this: lower left to upper right. My top leg, which is leg number 2, goes lower right to upper left. Okay, now I've turned my work onto the side. So if I stitch this way, now that it's turned, if I continue to stitch as I normally stitch, my X's are going to cross in a different direction than they did when I was stitching across the bottom of the design up to, or from the top down. If you are turning your work 180 degrees, which means I'm working bottom up, now I decided, because my scroll frame, I can't quite reach that far, so I'm going to put the top at the bottom, okay? And I'm going to turn the thing completely upside down. So I have turned it 180 degrees. You can stitch your X's the same way because you have switched it 180 degrees. So your X's will match. But in this case, I have switched my piece from stitching bottom to top to stitching side to side. So I have only gone 90 degrees. When you go 90 degrees, that changes your X. Is bottom left to top right. Bottom right to top left. That is my usual way to stitch when I am stitching top down or bottom up. Now I have turned it 90 degrees. So, number one. Now, my stitch, in order for this to be the crossing, needs to go from the bottom right to the top left, and then the bottom left to the top right. To always cross in the same direction. So what that means is, now that I probably have you all thoroughly confused, is that your X also needs to change the direction of which you are stitching it. Here, so there we go. You still see everything. All away a little bit. There we go. Come back in here where we belong. Okay, this is a total typical get confused video. But you see, number two was my number one. Number one was my number two flop. I just have to remember what everybody calls this is stitching backwards. You stitch backwards to the way it's supposed to be. Well, there is no right way, wrong way, frontwards, backwards. The whole deal is do what you do, but do it consistently. That's the only thing. My friend Barb stitches this way all the time. So if she was to turn hers on the side, she would have to stitch like I normally stitch. So either way, you have to change it up. Which, to tell you the truth, kind of, I kind of really do like this way. Pardon me. I just have to remember to do it. Now, of course, when you do your X, just like any other X, you can stitch it from the top down. You know, you can stitch it top left to bottom right. Bottom right, top left. Or you can stitch it bottom right, top left, bottom left, top right. As you see, they're both crossing the same direction. And that is all that's important. Is that your stitches are all crossing the same direction. But as I said, that does get a little confusing when you have been stitching one way for basically 50 years, and now all of a sudden you want me to do what? You want me to stitch the other way? I don't think so. Now, suppose I do what I normally do and go bottom left, top right, and go, oh nuts! I just started that one the wrong way. Well, you could unstitch that, or here's another little trick, my friends. You could, as if you were gonna cross it the way that you do when you're stitching top to bottom, just take your needle, loosen that, put your needle underneath it, pull your thread through, go down the top right, and now you have just made it that they're crossing correctly. That is always a possibility. Let me show you that again. So normally I go bottom left to top right. Oh, darn it, I started the wrong way. Well, I could unstitch, but you all know as well as I know, you're doing a heaven and earth design. Unstitching, frogging can be a challenge because of all the confetti. So what you do then is continue to do your stitch as if you were gonna, as if it was correct, but instead, your needle, pull that first leg that you did up in the air, run your needle through it. Now the stitch that now that leg that you're completing is underneath what you did first. Pull it down so that it lays the way it should. Go down in your proper corner, and now it is crossed in the correct direction for the direction of which you are stitching. Just a little trick so that you don't have to undo. For me, it's easier to do that than to try and undo something. I'm not all about unstitched things either. But we correctly want to go when we're on the side. Then you unthread the needle because your thread. Now I'm using these ballpoint. This method of threading does not. Oh, there. Working up in the air here, and I just did. Now, if you're wondering what What this business is here, that's an ended thread. So instead of flipping my work over and running it under the back, what I did is I just did 20 count Ada cloth. So you all know the weave of Ada cloth. So it looks like it has little floats that alternate direction across the fabric. Guess I'm gonna have to. These aren't always the easiest. Some days it goes right in. Some days we have challenge. Now you see how your Ada cloth has these little alternate. So instead of flipping over, I just took my needle and ran it under 2 or 3 floats and pulled it through. So that's going to hide my thread. It won't be seen when you stitch over it. It's also going to help reduce the bulk of the back. So for those of you that are looking for alternate ways to start and or end threads, that would be one that you could use. You can start a thread that way, or you can see here I'm stitching part of it, and my X is completely hide that. Now, you do have to be careful sometimes. And like I said, kind of stitching up in the air here, lowered, lowered this a bit more comfortable. See better. You do have to be careful that you're not missing a stitch because it looks like there might be a stitch already there when there's not. So just watch out for that. But it is another option for starting and or ending thread. Just my seating here. Here. So that is a little quick lesson on changing the direction, going from top to bottom to, and it takes a little bit of concentration to do it. You know, don't switch the direction and then just willy-nilly go merrily along doing what you were doing when you top down or bottom up, because things aren't going to match. And like I said, there have been occasions, especially down in here, where I kind of forgot myself. Didn't realize it till a few stitches later and then went ooey. And you know what? It's like I'm not going to frock it. It is what it is, and hopefully I will remember and we will move on from there. Giving my piece character. Believe that? I will tell you another one. But you know what? It's the name of the game is make it your own. It is what it is. It is a hobby, not to be stressed upon. If there's mistakes, you know what? You are human. You are entitled to make a mistake. So just sit back, relax, stitch, and enjoy the journey. And I do have to say, this is going a bit faster, the other method. Now, I don't know that this method has a name. I don't know because I'm not going to say I'm doing Royal Rose because I'm not parking. So it's similar to Royal Rose, but not parking because I'm completing it in sections across. Sometimes a column, I will go into the second column. However, whatever looks like the most sensible, the most sensible way to stitch it. If it means crossing over, absolutely cross over because I don't want no lines. That's why I'm doing it this way. um, I will tell you what prompted me to not change it to go from side to side, but methodology wise to look at just very small sections and stitch it, a column or two or however many this way, however many you want. I only ended here because this was a page break. But I will filter into this. That being said, it is rather odd. I know they can happen, and they do happen. It is not the usual to get horizontal page lines, which is why then I ended at the page. So I thought I would just catch this up a row of pages at a time until I get up a little further. So we'll see how that goes. But that's why I'm only going that far at this point. And once I get this row of pages finished, I could very well decide to go further. Not just 2 squares, but maybe 3, 4, 5 squares, however many. See, but for right now, I stopped here because that is the end of the page. Pause. So we'll see. But as I was saying, what kind of prompted me to try this is, do any of you watch Kamari? Is that how you say it? Kamari? I mean, I've talked about her before, and I want to tell you that lady can stitch. In fact, she has now just finally, has just very recently started using Pattern Keeper, which she was always a paper person stitcher, but she has recently just started using Pattern Keeper. I found that rather interesting, and I enjoy watching her videos and her stitching. It's like, I mean, she can stitch. She has the speed, the whole 9 yards, and good for her. But I do, and wow, I mean, she gets a lot done, and she goes in spurts with doing videos. And right now, she's doing them live, and she's putting out. I mean, at least every day, sometimes multiple times in a day. And you know what? Good for her. Good for her. But I was watching her and thought, hmm, maybe that's something to try, because she stitches small areas, color completes in that small area, and just moves along rather nicely. She did have a post, or did somewhere I saw a mention. She's stitching Once Upon a Fairy Tale by Amy Stewart, Heaven and Earth Design. And I want to say it is the super size. If it's not super sized, it's the max color. I want to say that that's the case. And because I started the wrong way. Um, I forget how long she said she's been working on it, and she's 50% finished. And I want to, which surprises me. I honestly would have thought she had more finished because of the speed in which she stitches. It is just, my needle is very slow compared by comparison. But you know, each their own. Do what works for you, because as I always say, ain't no rules. Whatever, whatever suits you best, your style and method, whatever. That's what you do. So, how long have we been on here? 4 minutes. I have to tell you guys what I did this week. It was rather fun. It was rather enjoyable. In fact, I had a good time doing it. My oral surgeon, I get my implants done, and I think a lot of you that have been around for a while know that I had to. I lost a tooth recently because it had a rather large cavity, very, very close to the nerve. And the large cavity was from when I was a kid, and the new cavity was underneath that and very close. to the nerve, and it already had a crown on it, and yada, 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 yada. Um, so I chose to have it pulled, and for another possible implant. Well, as it turned out, I'm not going to get that implant because I would also have to have sinus surgery, and no, I'm not going there. No, 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 no. Because it would cost much more money than I can at this point in time afford, or not necessarily afford, but would want to spend. It was going to cost upwards of $8,000. And that, yeah, that would have included the tooth for on it. No, that wouldn't have been. Oh no, it was an exorbitant price. So I chose at this point in time not to have the implant done. But anyway, I feel like, and I think they feel, I have a pretty good rapport with this office. And they wanted to do a video to put on their website. And the one girl in the office, who is the person who usually checks you out and makes your next appointment and all of that, called me, said, "Could you be in our video?" Because I always try to tell them the things they've done well, which they appreciate because, you know, those of you who are in the medical profession, I'm sure, realize that 9 times out of 10, what you hear from patients is strictly, for the most part, what you did wrong. More often than not, you hear what people are not happy with, and you don't hear what people are happy with. So, being a retired nurse, I make it a point, no matter what doctor's office I go to, whether it's my personal care physician, whether it's a dentist's office, whether it's a specialist's office or whatever, I make it a point of saying what you did right. And I think it was because of that that she said, "Karen, will you do a testimony? Will you be part of our video for testimonials of about the practice?" Certainly, absolutely. And that's what I said then in the video. It's that people too quick. And granted, I'm not disputing the fact that if things are not the way they should be, yes, that office needs to know so that they can fix it. Because part of the other side of that coin is people can't fix what they don't know. So if something's not right, they need to fix it. And they need to know about it in order to fix it. But by the same token, rather than hear, "You need to fix this, you need to fix that, you need to fix this," they also need to hear, "Hey, you did a really good job. I don't feel like I'm a number here. I feel like I am a person. I feel like I get the attention that I need. I can ask a question and I get an answer to my question. Take the time for that. All those good things. So that's what I did this week. But then that got me on a little bit of a soapbox, which, go ahead. I know you're thinking it. Oh, Karen, what else is new? You do get on your soapbox. But my little bit of a soapbox, and I didn't really think a whole lot about this until after I left that recording session, was I should have mentioned something about weight, and myself included. You tend to forget about these things or not think about it in a different respect. We all, oh, I had to sit and wait at the doctor's office. My time is just as precious as his or hers. And we all go down that road from time to time, myself included. But, and I know this is not stitching related. This is that and a little bit of life stuff. But think about what you want when you select a physician, whether it be an oral surgeon, whether it be a primary care provider, whether it be a specialist. What are the things that you expect? You expect to be respected, to be treated with dignity, for people to be kind, to have your questions answered, to not feel like a number. All of that, especially the not feeling like a number, to have your questions answered, may take longer than the allotted appointment time, depending on the amount of questions that you have. And if you have a physician, any physician, that is willing to do that, in my mind, you have a prize because that doesn't always happen. You have something to be treasured because that's all part of forming a relationship with your doctors. They giving you what you need for you to trust and feel comfortable and respect them. And by you giving them what they need, respect, trust that they are going to take good care of you, develops that relationship. So if I expect all of that from my physician, don't you think the next guy does? So in order for my doctor to provide me with that, he may or she may be running a tad late. But with that, I start to think, okay, they're running a little late, but people are getting what they need. And I know when it's my turn, I'm going to go back into the office or the exam room or wherever. I'm going to get my need. So it's like taking a different spin on that wait time. Now, if you're waiting ungodly, unreasonable lengths of time, that's another story. But if you're waiting 10, 15 minutes past your appointment time, chances are people are getting what they need and questions answered that they need answered. And if that doctor is willing to take that time with that person, then I can have the satisfaction that they're going to take that time with me. So it's just put a different spin on it. That's all I'm saying. But it was fun. It was rather fun making this video with not only the gals in the office, but the physicians and they took, and then I sat with, it wasn't actually the doctor that was asking me the questions at the beginning. It was actually the person that was producing the video. They asked all kinds of questions of how long have you been coming to the practice, and why did you choose this practice, and questions like that. And then we went back to where the exam rooms are and had to do recordings of, okay, meeting the doctor and shaking hands, saying hi, how are you, and walking back the hall chatting and sitting in the exam chair and getting my teeth looked at or pretend to be getting my teeth looked at. It really was. I enjoyed it. And I was rather tickled. I didn't get, okay, that was good, but let's do it again. I didn't get much of that. I was surprised. I was truly surprised because the guy that was doing it ahead of me, I was actually sitting there um, waiting for it to be my turn, and you could watch what they were doing. And he'd um, do that, where he'd walk in the door and come up to the receptionist and say, "Hi, I'm so and so, and I'm here for such and such an appointment," yada yada yada. And he would get the, "Okay, that was perfect. Now do it again." He must have had to do things 4 or 5 times. Oh, he got the, "Okay, that was perfect. Do it again." I said to the guy, I said, I feel a little slighted. I didn't get that. That was perfect. Do it again." And he chuckled. He said, "No, you did fine." So I'm anxious to see when the video comes out what it looks like. I'll probably sit and laugh at myself back here. Oh, maybe that's, I'm gonna have to turn it over and look at that. Not doing no more. I might have to have a visit with the frog. With the frog. Well, guys, let me see. I have yacked on here for an hour. An hour. Okay, a few minutes shy of an hour. So I think we are going to call this one a day, and I will get it uploaded for you today. And as you've noticed, I've cut back to doing videos about just once a week instead of so many. I thought of one more thing I was going to tell you. Let me grab these. I found, remember I showed you, and if you watch my Instagram, you probably saw it, that I was trying something new that was in my last video. It was called, I think you pronounce it Reticella embroidery. Well, set this up here. I found, let's see if I adjust my zoom. I found, I might have to just back the phone up, an online course. Let's get rid of the, let's turn that, here we go. I found an online course that I'm taking to learn more about this kind of embroidery. And actually, it is really kind of, no, not kind of fun. It is fun. So what I did first was I had to do a lot of basting stitches because you start at the center and you baste your center lines. So let's have this point out. I can do it this way. So I had to start here and then I basted out 3 because that's half of the center. 16, 6, 16, 6, skip 1, 4. So, and then you went this way and did the same thing, and then you did the same thing this way. Then you pulled 1 thread. So I had to pull that one thread that was here. It was the 6 and then 1 and then 4 or 6, 1. Okay, you pulled 1 thread. Then you pulled a thread that would have been here, on one on each side of these bars in all directions. Oops, 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 oops. So that you had your grid. After you had your grid, and you didn't pull any threads yet, other than those 1 threads to make up the grid, then you went around the whole outside with a 4-sided stitch. Once the 4-sided stitch was done, then the 6 threads that are in here, you wrapped with satin stitches all the way around. That was a challenge even for me. I had a bit of a challenge doing that. And I will say, I initially was using a piece of Lugana. And that was really, really hard to manipulate because in wrapping these 6 threads, you fold 2 of them to the back and then wrap around that. So that you have basically 4 in the front, 2 wrapped to the back, and then you're wrapping that with satin stitches. So that's a bit of a challenge. Lugana is a lot harder to control than a piece of linen. Now, if it were not for this course, so I'm taking the course, so I want to do it the way they are saying to do it. I would not have put 6 threads there, left 6. I would have left 4, and I would have done a straight up over 4 satin stitch or a buttonhole stitch that the edge of your buttonhole is on the inside so that you could, right? After you had all that done, then you went around and you cut and then just leaving your bars. So then these are kind of, I'm calling them windows. So now I'm at the stage where I'm wrapping the bars. And then after I wrap the bars, then there will be threads laid in these windows to make different designs. So I will show you that as I get that. Apparently, this course, because they wanted you to have a 14 by, I think it was 14 by 14 piece of material. So there must be more that's going to go out towards the edges on all 4 sides. So we'll see what that brings. But what I wanted to learn was how to do all of this. So far, well, I'll be honest and say, this is my 4th start because I had a devil of a time with this. Lugana is not the fabric. You'll want linen. Now, the other thing that made it a little bit more difficult is the fact that I only had 40 count linen. So I want to get some 36 count. And that will probably make it easier yet. But that's a little update on that. And like I said, it's a course that I found online. Um, there is a fee for it. I think it was $70, 70 something dollars. Um, However, then you have access to the online material for 6 months. If your making of whatever this project is going to end out to be, because it didn't really say what we were making, if it goes longer than the 6 months, then you would have to pay again to re-up it to go another 6 months. So I'd like to get through it in the 6 month period of time. Um, but I am enjoying it. And the reason I wanted to learn more about it is because uh, the piece of hardanger that I'm doing, I want to substitute in some of those open work areas this type of embroidery, because, well, I started out doing that big long runner that was in that Japanese book that I have now changed. And I am making it my own. So it will be different than what the book shows. And that's my prerogative to make it my own. Just as a cross stitch chart is, you have every right to change it and make it your own. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm having fun doing it. So maybe my next video will be doing more of this. If you guys want to see this, I would be happy to do a video doing this. Like I said, it's a bear with me because I'm learning it myself. I'm learning it too, so it's not something that I'm real proficient at. It's all a learning curve. So we'll see. So if you want to see videos of that, let me know, and I will be happy to do them. I probably should do another hardanger video too, now that I think about it. So anyway, with that, I have kept you all far too long. I know a lot of you like shorter videos because there are so many out there to watch. So I'm kept you a little longer than I intended, but I hope you're all okay with that. So until next time, my friends, and it'll probably be next week sometime, I wish you all well. I hope you get a lot of stitching done. Don't forget to change your clocks, because this is the weekend of changing your clocks here in the United States. So I think it's it's tonight, Saturday night. Yeah. What is today? Is today Saturday? It's Saturday. I'm so confused. Yes, change your clocks tonight, because tomorrow starts daylight saving time. I think we just need to stay on one time, and this changing clock business should stop. But that's only my opinion. So until next time, my friends, get a lot of stitching done. And remember, there are no rules in cross stitch, only the ones you make for yourself. Be kind, be supportive, be encouraging, and I will see you